Hello, everyone. Today we are with Alaina Schwartz, international speaker, business paradigm shifter, and we're gonna talk about great stuff about income, how we can use our mindset to have better income. And yes, welcome to my show, Alaina.
Oh my God, what an absolute pleasure and delight, Pantea. Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, it's been a long time. We are trying to schedule this meeting.
That means it's going to be really worth it.
Yeah, and to be honest, I couldn't wait to talk to you. And finally, I had this opportunity to see you and try to find out about you, your experiences, and how we can align our mindset and income. All right, tell me about yourself first, Alaina. How did you end up to be a business coach and what you exactly do?
Sure. I started out as a lawyer in the music industry in New York City, and I was
Very
actually very,
different.
very successful. What did you say? I'm sorry.
That's a different.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Totally different. Yeah. Yeah. And I practiced for 18 years. I built a multiple six-figure practice, and my career culminated as me being the executive vice president of the largest independent music company in the world at the time in North American operations. And when I got to that level of success, I finally was able to cop to the fact that I never really wanted to be a lawyer in the first place. And it was my parents' agenda. And like going against what I really wanted to do. Like I just kept thinking if I got more successful, I'd finally be happy. And I kept getting more successful and I was never more miserable. And my body started to break down and I started to have major, major health issues. And I developed autoimmune issues and I couldn't hold pregnancies. And it was just like, it was really, really a hard time. And I literally just walked away from it all, not having any idea what I was going to do next because I just needed to leave it. And I smacked right dab into what I will call a dark night of the soul, which for, some people, they might call it a midlife crisis, but I'd say it's kind of like a midlife crisis on steroids. And one of the differences is A, it can happen at any age for people, and B, it usually births purpose. And that's what it was for me. And so all the structures of my life fell apart. I gave up my identity as a lawyer, moved out of New York City to a place where I knew no one. I lost a lot of my community in the process. I had major marital issues. My marriage fell apart. My finances fell apart. I had a very, very deep runway, which literally all disappeared, and I went into massive debt. And, so it was like all the structures of my life just really fell apart. And in the process, I learned a lot of tools and techniques to get me out of the living hell I was in. I just kept searching. I was like, there's got to be a way out of this. And I found a bunch of tools and techniques that helped me rewire my brain, help rewire my belief system and my thinking about life, and help me understand the nature of reality in a much deeper way and come into a woke state. And it's in that I realized that I was meant to meld this business acumen, this business strategic mind that I had with this mindset piece that I had learned, and put them together. And when I first started coaching, I was helping, like, purpose was such a deeply important thing to me, and I think it's really important. It's the basis of the contentment of our lives, that I became a purpose coach at first. So I was helping people either discover their purpose and actualize it, or if they knew what it was, usually it was leaving corporate and going into entrepreneurship. That's usually what it was. Occasionally it wasn't, but usually it was that. And then, I created a six-figure coaching business in my first year of coaching. And as I became more successful, I wanted to work with people who were further and further along the journey as my journey progressed. So I, then started helping people develop six-figure businesses. And now I work with six-plus figure business owners, mostly some leaders who are intrapreneurs more than entrepreneurs, but mostly I work with entrepreneurs, helping them scale their impact and their income and work 20 plus hours less a week in the process.
So, how can we scale or impact?
How can we escape I'm
Scale or impact?
Oh, how can you scale your impact? That's a great question. So 80%, 80 to 90% of success, Pantea, is actually pretty much what's between your ears. Is the psychology, is your energetic alignment with your vision and your why, right? Is an energetic alignment with your purpose. And then there's 10 to 20%, which is really the tactics, the mechanics, the strategy. And you need both, but not in the same degree. Like when I created a 6-figure business, I created it with really having no strategy. Like clients just kept showing up out of nowhere. I mean, obviously it wasn't nowhere, but that's what I actually see happen with my clients across the board, is when they align their mindset, when they change. So part of it is understanding what limiting beliefs are getting in the way, understanding your habits and how to hack your habits so that you're doing habits, success habits, essentially, really success habits, and then shifting your environment. So that because you're having now different thoughts and different emotions, you're now having different experiences. And once people start to shift, their state of being, which are the thoughts and the emotions, all of a sudden synchronicities start happening, opportunities show up, resources show up. And honestly, for me and what I do, it's so much less heavy lifting because so much happens, I would say organically from that process. And then we tune in the pieces. For me, the pieces are foundational pillars, because I work with some very successful businesses, $500,000 and up businesses who still don't have some of their business foundation dialed in. I was just writing a 3-series post that I put out on my social media on some of those business foundational pieces, where I have had clients who have been stuck at $500,000. Like one of my clients, who was stuck there for 3 to 4 years, and he'd spent over $200,000 in business coaching in the previous 4 years before working with me. And it was clear that he was having some other block, and he knew he needed a mindset shift. So he came and he worked with me, and he needed some major, my cat's gonna come in here. He needed some major mindset stuff. But in addition to that, what he needed is he didn't have his ideal client really clear. And in the process of us clarifying his ideal client, he had more, obviously, again, it goes along with the mindset piece, but he had more organic leads in 1 month than the entire previous year. He was a digital marketer, and he was about to launch his new marketing funnel, and he had more organic leads than in the entire year before in that month. So that was just from aligning those pieces. So there's business foundational pillars that are important. And it amazes me that people can grow their business as much as they do and without having those dialed in, but they do get to a certain point where they can't go further. And then there's systems, right? So it's making sure that things are systematized so you can automate, delete, and delegate. And there's the main things. And then there's leadership of like, how do you lead your team? How do you lead your community? And so those are the major pieces that I work with to help my clients scale.
That's, I was like flashing back to where I was, to where I am right now. And then I try to align what you say to my situation as well. Because as I'm working with different coaches and different interviews I have with them, I see they also had the same situation. Like the definition of why and clarifying your purpose is the most important one. And another thing that you don't need to have a lot of skills, and that's the trap many business owners get there, because they think that they are not enough.
Yeah.
But I see people who are making money are not the one who have a lot of lot of skills and certifications. So you can have bunch of certification, a lot of skills, but you don't know how to use it. And that's the most important one. And what happened? They try to get different business coaches from there to another one, different courses, and this loop is gonna be there forever.
Yeah.
So what do you actually recommend to those people who have this dilemma? And I have further question later as well.
Yeah, 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 sure. That's a great question because, I think that you're right on about that. What happens with so many people is because they have that imposter syndrome going. They have that inner fraud. They keep thinking, "Oh, I just need another certification and then I'll be successful at it." And they just keep thinking it's about the knowledge that they're going to gain that's making them successful. But I meet a lot of people who are super skilled at what they do. The problem is that they're not skilled in business. And so if you're not skilled in business, then you have a hobby, which is the unfortunate part about it. And so to get skilled in business, it means learning business principles and understanding business principles so that you can grow. So there's scaling is not growing, right? So there's a difference between growing a business and scaling a business. And so initially, like when you're looking to get like regular leads, like that often happens, regular clients. So people may not have regular clients immediately, and they have inconsistent income, and they're on kind of like the roller coaster. And as a result of that, they are not able to really grow their business. And at a certain point, you grow so that you've got a certain amount of predictable income, and then you start scaling, which is like, how do you take it and make a much bigger model of it, right? So there's different techniques that you use to grow than you do to scale. And so for a lot of people, what they really they need to understand first and foremost is business growth. Business, like those pillars that I was talking about, are essential for every business owner to be able to take your business from 0 to 6 figures. It's essential at any stage in business, but especially to get to the 6-figure mark, you really need to understand the business fundamentals.
I like the differentiation between grow and scaling because the first step is having a consistent income,
Yes.
especially for those entrepreneurs who already had income, like a pay slip, and then they started another source of income, and they are really afraid because they don't have that stability and they don't know how to reach it. So that's why they can't trust their business.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So true. Can I speak to that? Because I was just on the phone. I do a lot of networking, and I was just on the phone with a woman earlier
Yes,
today.
please, please, yes.
And she had a day job, and her business was really doing well. Her coaching business, she wasn't quite at 6 figures yet, but it was really doing well. And we had this whole conversation about what was stopping her from taking the leap. And it was exactly what you were just talking about, because it was the fear of stability, where she had grown up in an environment understanding, like believing, her parents believed like you have your job, and then your job contains stability for you and you stay at your job. And so the idea of leaping without a paycheck was kind of scaring her, and it was holding her back. And so we had this whole conversation about her opening up and trusting, because it's like the universe is trying to pour all of this into you, this deliciousness into you, but your container's this small. You're not receiving it, and so you're not receiving it because of the fear, and that's holding you back. And so the more that you can go like this, the more that can pour into you in the process. And so moving through that fear and taking that leap and moving into purpose, like the universe wants to support you moving into purpose. It really does. That's what we're all here for, is to live our purpose.
Can you give us some example of this fundamental business growth?
Sure, sure. It's funny because this is like two of the business fundamentals are what I've written as I was saying, my last 3 days posts on, and that's ideal client and your offer. And so, for example, most people, when they start their business, first of all, they tend to go too broad. They're afraid that if they exclude people, they niche down. It's called the niche, right? And if they're afraid that if they niche down, that what's going to end up happening is that they're going to have less clients that come to them. And what they don't realize is that the more specific they are, the more clients come to them. And then those people, even if you weren't marketing to them, but they're your ideal clients, they're your fit anyway, they're going to find you and work with you anyway. It always happens. So by niching down, it doesn't stop you from working with the people that you really want to, but it does speak to, you then get to speak to, so that your people know that you're actually speaking to them. Because if you're speaking to everyone, you're speaking to no one. No one knows you're talking to them. And that's a real problem. And so I have clients who come to me again, they've been in business for years, they're really successful, but they still don't have that dialed in, and their messaging isn't clear. And they're telling me what they think that their pains of their client are, but they're not living, they don't have the information of, like, what are your clients really saying? Like, what are their pains in their language? Like, your clients don't resonate with your language, they resonate with their language. So your messaging, everything, really everything in your business is built from your ideal client. And if you don't have the clarity on that, then your messaging is off, then your offers are off, then your enrollment is off because you're not really speaking to them. And so the pieces that I just mentioned, and then some form of strategy, those are all the pieces, the foundational pillars. Right? So by getting clear on your ideal client, then you can get clear on your messaging, then you can get clear on what's the offer, what problem are you really solving for them, then you know how to have enrollment calls. People will call them sales calls. I don't like to sell people. I like to enroll them into their dreams. So I have enrollment calls with people. And so then you know what to talk about in your enrollment, and then you know the kinds of strategies that will help you find out where they're hanging out and help you talk to them.
Beautiful, yes. So let's just have a few second break and we come back again. Please subscribe to Pantea Kalhor Transition channel and order my book Rules of Change for the Better. Tune up your mood and transform your life to reach your biggest dreams. All right. Yeah. Okay. So tell me 3 tips for entrepreneurs how to continue their dream and how they don't give up.
Yeah. So, I work with a lot of universal principles, and whether you believe in them or not, just like whether you believe in gravity or not, it exists. This is how the universe works. And there are just certain principles that when you learn how to work within them, you can create so much of what you want. Like, the universe delivers more to you than you could even imagine. And one of those principles is the law of polarity. And the law of polarity says if you have a desire for it, then the way with which to fulfill it already exists. It's already there. And when you actually realize the truth of that, then you go, oh, so if I really want this, then there's a way already to accomplish this. And it's just a matter of me getting out of my own way to make it happen and removing the resistance to it. And so resistance looks like limiting beliefs. It looks like procrastination, which usually is a limiting belief. It looks like not being consistent. Like, I have people tell me that they really want to do something, but then I ask them to do something consistently, and then they don't do it consistently. And it's like, okay, well, how bad do you really want it then? You're not willing to do this every single day. Like, are you willing to spend an hour a day for a 6-figure business? Like, really, like, if it took an hour of mindset practices a day to have a 6-figure business, and you knew that if you did that for exactly a year, by the end of the year, you'd have a 6-figure business, would you do it? And the thing is that so many people don't. So the idea is that you've got to develop a practice, a consistent practice, and shift habits. So, like, for example, what's the first thing that most people do when they wake up in the morning? They check their phone. Right?
So I never do this. I try to stay away from my phone as far as possible.
Oh, good. Good for you for doing that. It's awesome. Because what happens is, biologically, like, I work a lot with principles of quantum physics and neuroscience and peak performance. And biologically, we're in the stress response a lot. And when we're in the stress response, we're releasing chemicals like cortisol, epinephrine, adrenaline, and those chemicals are actually addictive to us. So our body wants us to keep repeating the same things that caused the release of those chemicals before. And so you wake up and you check your phone, and before you know it, you're down the rabbit hole. And you're checking social media, you're checking your emails, and you created a state of being, your thoughts and feelings that were the same as you were yesterday. And so you're going to get the same day basically you get today that you had yesterday. So you've got to shift up your habits and do things differently to ensure that today and tomorrow looks different than it did yesterday. You can't keep doing the same things. And honestly, one of the things that I would say to do that makes a huge difference is hire the right coach. Because I think you as a business owner are your biggest investment. You're the most valuable investment. And so the return on investment from working with the right coach will yield, dividends beyond what you can do. Hiring a coach is to cut time and money, because you're leaving money on the table by not getting to a certain level of business sooner. And a coach can help you condense that period of time.
Because she has experience and she goes through those ups and downs. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel. I understand this. Because the problem is, I see for so many entrepreneurs, they started, and because in the beginning you shouldn't expect too much return on investment, to be honest. People should know you, should connect to you, and it takes time. If you need a very strong foundation, so you need to work on it consistently. As for myself, it took some time to just people know me and trust me, connect with me, So you shouldn't expect to have like 6-figure in the beginning of your career. You may need to build some foundation to move forward, right?
I don't, I'm going to respectfully disagree with that.
Really?
Yes. And what I will say to you in terms of not expecting, you get what you expect. You get what you believe. So if you believe that you can be really successful, if you truly believe that, then you will be. I mean, I created the business my first year in business, in first year of coaching. So I believe that it's totally possible, and it's understanding how to be in an energetic alignment. Like I talked about that earlier. When you come into energetic alignment, when you live your life like that on a daily basis, then and it's not just something that you're practicing, but you're actually living it, then opportunities can't help but show up there. The thing is that they're there all the time. You just don't see them because we've got like these blinders that are like we're focused on the thing that's causing us stress that we're trying to create. Like there's two sides of everything. There's the having of it and there's the absence of it. And if we were focused on already feeling like we had it rather than focused on the absence of it, most people focus on the absence of it. Like they think they're focusing on growing their business, but they're focusing on why they don't have the business that they want yet. Why isn't it working yet? Like I hear that question all the time. Like, I feel like I'm doing all the right things. Why isn't it working yet? Because you keep asking that question and the universe is giving you the answer to that question. Like stop asking the question, stop thinking, why isn't it working yet? And just trust that it will. And when you do, because I have helped, I very rarely work with new business owners, and I've worked with 2 very recently. And the reason that I worked with them is because they have a certain DNA that I can tell that they'll pop quickly. One of them was a recruiter, and she just started her own agency with a partner. And she had been making multiple 6 figures in an agency beforehand, and she was also an elite athlete. So I knew her DNA was real high achiever, real success and go-getter. And, within 3 months, like she said to me when we started working together in October. And she said to me, I'm just going to wait to the beginning of the year. Nobody's hiring right now. And so I won't get clients right now. So I'll just wait to the beginning of the year and then we will focus on building business. I was like, you can get business right now. She's like, really? I was like, yeah, I don't care what the economy says. I don't care what's going on, what pandemic. You can get business right now. And she enrolled to work with me. And in her first month, she got a really big client. And within 3 months during my 3-month program, by the end of the 3 month, she was literally oversubscribed. Her agency had so many clients that they had to hire another agent to help placements because they just were that busy. And it was totally possible. And she said, I never thought that that would be possible in 3 months in this environment. And I was like, anything's possible. Anything's possible. So when you believe it's possible, it happens.
Beautiful. That's so powerful. What about the technical issues? Like, I know I talk to so many people, and then in the beginning, they, oh, I have to build a website. How can I process my payments? There are lots of these technical part that they actually hold them back to succeed. And there is always something, let's say, for some people say, oh, I have to publish this book, then I can do this, then I can do that. There's always something in the middle that prevent them to move forward.
Yeah, you know what I call those, Pantea? I call them excuses. So I've been coaching now 7 years. 2 years ago, like no website. I had presence on social media, but I didn't have a website until 2 years ago. And I created a business by first, and I built my business and I started scaling it without a website. So do you really need a website for that? I don't believe that. I don't believe that. So, a lot of people are focused on non-income producing activities. And part of the reason that they're not getting what they want is because they're focused on non-income producing activities. They're not focused on the right activities. And when you start focusing your energy on the right activities, then those other pieces fall into place. And you can also then hire people to do it for you and not have to do anything because, you're making enough money to do that. So I just think that people use a lot of excuses to take themselves out of the game. They're not focused. They're not focused on the right income producing activities, because if you do even just one thing every day that is an income producing activity, and you do it consistently, you will get huge giant leaps over time, and not very much time either.
And that's a great point. I like that. Income producer activity. That's the must, because people doing so many free things, freebies, and so many social media activity without any return, and that's really annoying. And after sometimes you get so tired, so mad, why I cannot return anything. But what I said, like, I talked to another woman that she started to have her own business, and I said, you really don't need magnificent like website. You only need one page, getting the payment, that's it. So don't make it complicated. That's the number one thing that you need to focus on.
Yeah. What's even funny is that, in terms of payment, it's so easy. For example, there's things like, it's not ideal. I mean, there's so many other things like Stripe or things like that. But honestly, you could take payments from PayPal. You can create invoices, and somebody taught me how to create a button, so you could take somebody's credit card information, create a button for it, and enter their credit card information, so that you're not relying on them to send you the payment, because I don't want to ever rely on somebody else to send me the payment. I want to be able to take their credit card and charge it. Right? So you can create buttons that do that. I mean, it's so easy and simple. There are so many hacks for simple things that if you're spending a lot of time on thinking, how am I taking payments? You're wasting your energy. It really is a wasting energy. Now, I do believe lead magnets can be very helpful for a variety of things, especially to build, the gold standard is the email list. But the email list and email campaigns are sort of a longer term strategy. So you have to have shorter term strategies. Like, one of the things I do with my clients is help them dial in organic lead generation. Some of my clients use ads, but you can build a $20,000 to $40,000 a month business without doing any advertisement, just on organic lead generation off of social media.
Yes, thank you for recommendations. So tell me about your programs. Do you have any freebies, any coaching program?
Sure, sure. Yeah, I do. So I do have a coaching program. I both coach one-on-one, and I have a group coaching program that I enroll, entrepreneurs into who are looking to scale their business. And I do have a freebie also. I can give you the link for it, but it is to help people scale, and it's the absolute mindset shift that you must make to add $10,000 to $50,000 a month to your business. And what it is, it's an amazing actual freebie because in the process of doing this, there's 10 steps. There's kind of 20 steps because in each of the 10 pieces, there's both a mindset piece and then there's a strategic piece that you do. And if you actually follow the workbook, it will make a huge, huge difference in your business. Like there's a lot of really great value. And I'd also love to offer your audience for like the first 5 people who connect with me, they can connect with me and offer a free 30-minute no pitch, like just a session of like, how do you frame your business to move you to the next level? Like, what are the steps that are missing for you that would be helpful for you to focus on to really get to the next level? And people can reach me if they want to reach me directly at support@alainaschwartz.com. They can reach out to me and just let me know that they saw this offer on your show. And I'm happy to, connect with them and help them out.
So this one, the website, hang on, alainaschwartz.com, that's your website. You have the Facebook page,
Yep.
alaina.schwartz7,
Yep.
and alaina.schwartz is your Instagram.
That is. And also I hang out on LinkedIn a lot. So again, it's
Yeah,
just
I saw it
yeah,
because
hang
of
out
the
on
post
LinkedIn.
I
So
did.
actually probably LinkedIn is my preferred social media platform. So I hang out on LinkedIn quite a bit. I do a ton of networking on LinkedIn. And I use it as my primary, between that and podcasts, as my primary lead generation strategy.
So your LinkedIn is alaina.schwartz?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, it's easy because I found you there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
absolutely find there. I'm easy to find there.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
put out a ton of free, like somebody said to me the other day, she became a client last week, and she said to me that she'd been following my content for a while. And she's like, you really put a lot of value in your content. I was like, always. My intention is really always to serve and provide value.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I really happy that finally we could
Me too. Thank you.
meet and we could have some discussion about this important stuff.
Me too.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much. I appreciate it.
Yes.